Good morning, Pod Squad. Today is Saturday, September 26th. I pray that you all are ready to wake up and win. You're ready to wake up and conquer. You're ready to beast your day. You're ready to be intentional. You're ready to increase your faith and lend somebody a smile and pay it forward and just have hope and joy and peace for the day. I pray that you all are just ready for all that this day has for us, all that God has in store for us. Today, I wanted to talk to you about you were groomed to carry your assignment. God has been speaking with me and dealing with me on this issue, and I just want to talk, especially for those of you who are married. And we need to understand that there is purpose in our marriages. We have our own individual purposes, but there is also purpose in the marriage. And most times, well, I can just speak from my personal experience. I can't say, for anyone else. But in my situation, God may reveal the promise to one before the other catches up to it or before he even reveals it to the other. And in that case, in my case, the reason being is because I was groomed to carry my assignment. I was groomed to carry the things that are going to endure in the marriage for God's glory and for part of my calling, for me, being able to allow God to use my marriage as a testament for his grace and his glory. With that being said, God will groom you for not only are you groomed for your assignment, you need to understand that you were already born and created for your assignment and for your purpose. That what God has intended for you to do has already been placed on the inside of you. But there is a time where you have to be groomed up for it. There's a time where you have to be trained for it. You have to be prepared for it. And you may be in a season in your marriage or just in life period where the calling is always going to seem so much heavier, when God is first grooming you up for it. And in your marriage, with you being groomed for the assignment, you may be in a situation where you're being groomed to carry, whatever weight that is of the calling, whether that be demons, whether that be baggage, whether that be lack, whether that be broken pieces, whether that be a broken spirit, whether that be just spiritual warfare, whether that be generational curses that you're going to be binding and casting out, regardless of what that is. And I don't want to make it seem like you're groomed to carry an assignment. It's going to always be negative, but there are things that you have to endure and go through so you can speak from a level of experience, so you can speak also from a place of pain. I often question God, well, if you wanted my marriage to be a testament of your grace and your glory, why can't you just tell me what to say? And God said, because the pain that you endure, you'll never speak from a dry place. You'll never speak from an empty place. You'll be speaking from previous experience, whether that be trauma, pain, tears, suffering, whatever that may be. I need you to speak from that place. And you can't speak from that place if you haven't been through and to that place. Oftentimes we think our assignment is just something that God is just going to fill our mouths, but we speak from a level of experience. You have to have gone through it to tell someone else about it. So there may be times that, you have to be prepared to carry pain, carry guilt, carry shame. And I don't mean your own, but maybe you're carrying it for someone else, because believe it or not, we are all assigned to others. We have others assigned to us. We all have assignments. Others have assignments. And it's for the salvation of their souls, to bring them back to the kingdom. We're kingdom builders. And when you're on fire for Jesus and an ambassador for Jesus, the whole point of being a disciple is he sends you out. He sends you out to free others, to bring others home, to go out and find his lost sheep, the sheep that have wandered off. And I will say this. If I had to give any advice on being groomed and being prepared to carry your assignment and your calling, never go by what it looks like and what it feels like, because you will easily forget what God said. And God is not a man that he shall lie. There are often times it hurts so bad, and I have to ask God, did you really say what you said? Nothing looks like what you said. Things don't always feel like what you said. And he has to often remind me, you're still being trained. You're still being groomed. You're still being equipped. And you were already equipped to carry this, to handle this. And sometimes, we need those gentle reminders, and God knows when to remind you. He knows when your spirit feels weak, when your soul just feels weary and burdened. And we got to remind ourselves, like, you were called for this. You were created for this. You were born for this. So whether that be your assignment in your marriage or just any other area in your life that God has spoken over you or has promised you, believe it or not, whether you feel it or not, you were created for that very thing that you're going through. I know it hurts. I know it's hard. I know there will be times you don't understand. I know the enemy will remind you that you're not cut out for this. There are times I've wanted to throw in the towel and quit, but God didn't create me to be a quitter. He's called me higher. There are times that I don't understand, and God is like, your intellect, your perception is wrong. And he will often have to remind me, you're still going by what you feel or going by the things that you see in the natural. I need you to keep your ears close to my mouth. I need you to look in the spirit and look into the future and remain steadfast for what I promise you, for what I spoke over you. What I spoke has to come to pass. My words don't come back void or null. And I often need those reminders, but whatever your assignment is, just know that you were created for that. You were born for that. Before that even happened, like little things that happen in your life, God was already grooming you for it. So when it's time to get ready to manifest the very thing that he's called you to do or, created you to do, it's time to saddle up and get out there. It's time to put on your spiritual armor, put on the armor of God and get out there. There's a war that we're fighting. There's a battle that we're fighting. But remember, it's never against flesh and blood. It's a spiritual warfare going on. And you have to remind yourself, if God spoke this is what I have to hang on to. That's what I have to dig up in the vault when times get hard. I'm like, Lord, okay, this is happening. This is nothing like what you promised me. This is nothing like what you said. This is the way I feel. And he will remind you. There will be times where God will give you those gentle hugs and reminders just to let you know he knows it's hard. He knows your heart is breaking. He knows you're suffering. He knows it's painful. He knows you're losing sleep at night. He knows it's keeping you up at night. But as long as you always have a posture of surrenderance, you have a posture of a yes, God will see you through it. But remember, you have to endure it before you can speak about it, before you have authority over it. And you have authority. So that's how you got to know, if God placed me in this, he's already equipped me with what I need to endure, with what I need to get through this. It's not going to look like it. And I just want you guys to always think back to that. I remember hearing the words, okay, God called me to it, but it's not always going to look like it. God called me to it, but it's not always going to feel like it. Because if you go by what you see in the natural and go by the way you feel, you'll easily miss the move of God. You'll easily miss the very thing that he has already given you authority to do. And there are certain times, maybe in your marriage, you're carrying just things of their past or things that they're struggling with or things that their chains or their bondage or their fears. Maybe you're carrying their guilt. Maybe you're carrying their shame. Maybe you're carrying any baggage that they may have. Because believe it or not, God also had to deal with you in such a way that you can carry that. And you have to think, God is not going to allow you to carry something for someone else or for others if he hasn't equipped you to be free of it from yourself. So I don't want you guys to think if that's your assignment and if you've been groomed for it, that means you're dealing with your baggage and someone else's, your storms and someone else's, your burdens and someone else's. No, God has already had to deal with you on the inside in such a way that where you got to remember who my assignment is. I can't let that stick to me, what they're going through. Just because of what they're saying, I got to let those words blow past me. Just because of the attacks and the fiery darts and arrows that come my way, I got to dodge those because God has already, he made me for this. He created me for this. He's not going to allow you to put up with something that you're still dealing with yourself. So he's going to work on you first. He's going to cleanse you first. He's going to set you free first because you got skeletons, you got demons, you got battles that you're fighting. You got storms that you're going through. You got holes in your heart. You got broken pieces in your heart. You have ways that don't look like his. That is why he says, pick up your cross and follow me. Let me deal with you first. Let me deal with what you're dealing with on the inside first. Let me cleanse you first. Let me set you free first. Let me change your mindset. Let me change your perspective. Let me change the way you see things, the way you understand things, the way you view things. Then once he has dealt with you and says, okay, daughter, or okay, son, you now can see the way I see. You now can hear things the way I hear. You now can see deeper. You now are able to understand from my perspective and see things on my perspective. With that being said, now you're ready for this assignment. Now you're ready for the calling that I've placed on your life. Now you're ready to rise up for the assignment. And if that's in your marriage, I'm not even going to say if that's in. Your marriage has purpose. Everyone's marriage has purpose. Because when God created Adam and Eve, he created man and woman with the purpose of that covenant reflecting the kingdom of God, for it reflecting his image, for it looking like him, for it having certain authorities, and to subdue the earth. So allow God to deal with you and your baggage and your skeletons and your flaws and your storms and your insecurities and everything else that you carry. And once he's dealt with you, now he's ready to release that authority that he's already placed on the inside of you, because he's made room for it. He can't use you when you're still full of yourself. So as long as, again, you have that surrendering posture and that yes spirit, God can show you things and do things through you that you would have never been able to accomplish on your own. I know the assignment is hard. I know the calling is heavy. I get it. I've been there. I'm going through it. But at the same time, you got to remember that you were created for a moment such as this. The queen in you has to rise up. The king in you has to rise up. You may not see a way now. It may seem impossible. But remember, we serve a God who makes the impossible possible. He will call you to do things. He will call you to go places. He will call you to say things that you didn't think you had it in you. But God is never going to call you to do something that he has not already equipped and prepared you to do. Just keep reminding yourself, don't go by how you feel and don't go by how things look in the natural, because the enemy will quickly remind you that you didn't hear what you thought you heard, that God didn't say what he said. And whatever God spoke, whatever God promised, that has to come to pass. He knew that assignment was going to be heavy, but he knew what he placed on the inside of you to get through it. It's going to feel like it's breaking you, but I promise you, you won't break. So in your marriage or in any relationships, whoever God has assigned to your life or assigned you to their life, they've already been prepared. They've already been equipped. They've already been groomed to carry the weight of it. And it's going to be weighty. It's going to be so weighty. Sometimes you're like, God, I can't do this. God, why did you pick me? God, why did you call me? I don't want this call, and give it to somebody else. There were times I was embarrassed to even feel like that. Like, God, I know you said this was for me, but I don't want this. Why did you choose me? Why couldn't you pick somebody else to handle this? And he would always remind me, it's bigger than you. I know you're going through it, but everything you're going through has nothing to do with you. And God is not going to get you to a place where he works on you and equips you and takes you through hell and high water just because his name is on the line. His reputation is on the line. If God spoke something, that has to come to pass. So he didn't bring you this far just to leave you. Whatever you're carrying, you were called for it. Whatever you're going through, you were created for it. If the husband is the one who has the assignment that he's groomed to carry what his wife is carrying, you were born and created for that. If it's vice versa, if it's the wife who was groomed and created to carry, the things that her husband is going through, you were born for this. It is time for God's true sons and daughters to rise up. He's not so concerned about comfort. And I've spoken about this before. It's purpose over comfort. It's calling over comfort. There will be a time where you have your harvest and you have joy and you have peace and you have happiness. But there's a time that you also got to get out there and fulfill the mission. You have to accomplish it. You have to get it done. There's a goal. There's a people ready to be set free, needing to be set free. There are souls waiting to be saved based on your yes, based on your obedience. That's why I said it's so much bigger than you. I have to remind myself, but I'm here to tell you it's heavy. It's hard. Sometimes it keeps me up at night. But I can't look to man. I can't look to anyone else to give me what only God can give me. He reminds me. He fills me up so I can overflow into others. He strengthens me. He provides for me. He speaks to me. He ministers to me. He knows what's hard. His heart breaks when your heart breaks. But this is what you were called to do. He wipes your tears. God is not exempt from knowing how you feel. He knows what you're going through. But if you were groomed for it, if you were called for it, if this is your assignment, carry it and carry it with excellence. Carry it well. I'm only speaking now because I'm in a better headspace. When I got up this morning, my mind was all over the place. My thoughts were all over the place. And I don't like to do anything prior to getting into God's presence first. I couldn't record this podcast with how I felt this morning. This morning was heavy. This morning was weighty. This morning I just felt weary. This morning my soul was tired. But you know what? I got up like I do every morning. It's bigger than me. God, give me the relief that I need. Give me the revelation that I need. I go downstairs. I pray. I meditate. I read my word. I study. I write in my prayer journal. I listen to worship music. I got to get in the right headspace first. Then, after doing that, I can deliver the message. I can fulfill the assignment. You were groomed to carry the assignment. And if it's weighty, if you're carrying their burdens, if you're carrying all their pain, if you're carrying their childhood trauma, God groomed you for that. Get through it. There will be a time, where they're set free as well. If God did it for you, he could do it for them. But he needs vessels that he can do it through. He needs vessels to deliver certain words. He needs a people that he can trust. God is raising up a new generation, a future generation. There are people that you don't even know yet that are already connected to you, that are already waiting on when God does thrust you out there and put you in the forefront. Don't despise your small beginnings. Go through it. I know it's hard. I know it hurts. I know sometimes it doesn't make sense. I know you feel like you want to throw in the towel. I know these things because I've been through these things. And some of these things I'm currently still going through. But if what I'm going through is what's going to set my family free and allow my marriage to be an example for other marriages to thrive, for other marriages to trust God, for other marriages to lean on God, for other marriages to come forth and rise up for a kingdom army, then when he sends his trailblazer out there, the trailblazer has to be the one who starts the trail first. They got to get out there first. They got to go first. They got to go through the trials first. They got to endure it first. He knows it's hard, but he also knows what he placed on the inside of you. So if you're listening to this and you just feel like your assignment is hard, in your marriage or what God has called you to do, I want to encourage you to get up, dust yourself off. Take the burdens to God. Take the tears to God. Take the weariness to God. He will give you peace. He will give you understanding. He will suppress you with his love. He will fill your mouth with his words. He will fill your spirit with his spirit. The Holy Spirit will come in and equip you. Speak to you on God's behalf. You were groomed for this. I know it hurts, but get up. Somebody else is counting on you. I know it doesn't make sense, but keep going. Somebody else is counting on you. I know it's heavy, but don't put it down. Somebody else is counting on you. You were groomed and created for this very moment. Don't give up. Your marriage is counting on you. Your family is counting on you. There are other families counting on you. There are other generations counting on you. There's a people counting on you. It's bigger than you. Thank you so much for listening. Y'all be blessed. Trust God, lean on God, and just know God will supply each and every one of your needs. You were groomed to carry this. Stay blessed, stay prayed up. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to share it, and I will catch you guys on the next segment. Bye.